Hello. In the present video, we will deal with the very first theory of lattice heat capacity, that is classical theory of lattice heat capacity. Now, before dealing with the classical theory of lattice heat capacity and before calculating the value of lattice heat capacity according to classical theory, let us see the assumptions or postulates of the classical theory. According to classical theory, the atoms in the crystal or solid are arranged in a periodic manner, and these atoms are bound together by the strong binding forces. Even though the atoms are bound together by the strong binding forces, but the atoms are free to vibrate about their position, that is called as equilibrium position, their position, fixed position in the lattice, that is called as equilibrium position. So atoms free to vibrate about their equilibrium position, and in this way they constitute a three-dimensional harmonic oscillator. The vibrating atom vibrates independently of the other atoms. That means atoms vibrate independent of one another. The system of n vibrating atoms is equivalent to 3n identical independent one-dimensional harmonic oscillator. What does it mean? It means if a solid has n number of vibrating atoms, then how many harmonic oscillator will be there? There will be 3n independent harmonic, identical independent harmonic, one-dimensional harmonic oscillator. For n number of atoms, 3n number of harmonic oscillators. Why is so? Because each vibrating atom has 3 degrees of freedom, and hence n vibrating atoms, hence one vibrating atom is equivalent to 3 harmonic oscillators, okay, vibrating independently. Thus, n number of vibrating atoms equivalent to 3n number of harmonic oscillator vibrating independently. So, let us assume that a harmonic oscillator is vibrating with its natural frequency omega 0, natural frequency omega 0, and amplitude and energy of the oscillator may be different, okay, amplitude and energy of the oscillator may be different, where the values of energy varies from 0 to infinity. It is important to note that classical theory says that an oscillator, or in this way a solid, may have infinite amount of energy. So the energy of the oscillator ranges from 0 to infinity. Now, in order to determine the lattice heat capacity of the solid, or lattice heat capacity or heat capacity of the solid, first of all we have to find out the average thermal energy of a single harmonic oscillator. Okay, now for that purpose let us consider a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator of mass m and angular frequency, that is natural frequency omega 0. So the total energy epsilon of the harmonic oscillator, that will be summation of kinetic energy and potential energy. If mass is m and velocity is v, then kinetic energy will be equal to half mv square. While the potential energy v, that is function of position x, it will be equal to half omega 0 square x square. Okay, so in this way the total energy of a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator is half mv square kinetic energy, that is kinetic energy, plus potential energy, half omega 0 square x square. See, half mv square, that can be converted to mv total square divided by 2m, and as we know mv stands for momentum, which is denoted by letter P. So kinetic energy is equal to P square by 2m, and potential energy is half omega 0 square x square. Now, by assuming that the energy distribution of the oscillator obeys the classical, that is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. Okay, so here we are applying the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law since we are dealing with the classical theory. So, by applying Maxwell-Boltzmann or MB distribution law, the average energy of the oscillator is given by the equation, that is epsilon bar equal to integration of epsilon exponential of minus epsilon upon kBt d epsilon divided by exponential of minus epsilon upon kBt d epsilon. Now here exponential of minus epsilon upon kBt represents the probability that the oscillator has energy epsilon. Okay, so and to normalize the result, we have divided it by integration of exponential of minus epsilon upon kBt d epsilon. Now let us put the value of epsilon here, that is epsilon equal to P square by 2m plus half omega 0 square x square. Okay, so the equation changes to this, and here important is that the exponential function term is written in terms of product. Why? Because exponential of a plus b is simply exponential term e to the power a plus b. So since it is a power, we can write e raised to a into e raised to b, and in this way we can write it as exponential of a into exponential of b. So by mistake here it is plus sign, consider it as a product sign. So exponential of a into exponential of b. So here we have written exponential of this term multiplied by exponential of this term. Now since the energy is written in terms of momentum and momentum p and position x, so d epsilon is now becomes dp dx, and here single integration changes to double integration. Okay, accordingly same is applicable to the denominator. So now in the next step we have divided the complete term into two terms, where the x term, one term is related with momentum and the second term is related with the position. Okay, so after solving this, we find that the term related with momentum is this one, the first one, and the term related with position is this one. Okay. Now, if we carefully observe the terms, these are identical terms. Only the difference is that here it is p square while here it is x square, and here the coefficient term is 1 upon 2m kBt, while it is m into omega 0 square upon 2 kBt. So in this way we find that the numerator is simply 0 to infinity u square exponential of minus a u square du. It is the standard integral whose value is equal to 1/4 square root of pi upon a cube. And what about the denominator? Denominator is simply identical, and it is simply exponential of integration 0 to infinity exponential of minus a u square du, that is half square root of pi by a. So after putting the values of standard integration, okay, the equation, this equation will changes to the equation, and after solving and cancelling out the identical factors, we find that the first term is half kBt and the second term is again half kBt, and in this way half kBt plus half kBt, that is equal to kBt. In this way we find that the average energy is equal to kBT. The total energy, the energy of the total number of atoms in a gram mole of a solid, that will be equal to total number of atoms multiplied by average energy, that is epsilon prime, and it is equal to n into epsilon prime, n into epsilon prime, and this is equal to six calories, where what is n? N is Avogadro number, and the value of n is 6 calories per mole per Kelvin. Okay, now in this way, if average energy of a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator is epsilon bar, then energy of total number of atoms in a gram mole, that is equal to Avogadro's number capital N, will be equal to n into epsilon bar. Okay, so this one is clear. Now, since each atom has 3 degrees of freedom, so how many number of harmonic oscillators will be there in a gram mole where there are n number of atoms? It will be definitely equal to 3n. So in this way, in a gram mole, there will be 3n number of harmonic oscillators, by considering the fact or assumption that there are 3 degrees of freedom corresponding to one atom, one vibrating atom. So in this way, there are 3n number of harmonic oscillators. And what will be the energy of 3n number of harmonic oscillator? That will be equal to 3n epsilon bar. And since it is vibrational energy of a gram mole of a solid, it is simply the internal energy of the solid. Let us denote it by capital E. So this will be equal to 3n into epsilon bar equal to 3n into kBT, because epsilon bar average energy per oscillator, it is equal to kBT. So if we are looking carefully at equation 3, we find that the internal energy of the solid is totally independent of frequency and amplitude of vibration, but it simply depends upon the temperature of the solid. Okay, and another important fact is that if we calculate the specific heat of the solid, now what is specific heat of the solid at constant volume? So mathematically it is dE by dt at constant volume V, and if we solve it, so the differentiation 3n kb is a constant, and this t, differentiation of t, will become 1. So it is Cv equal to 3n kb. And what is nkb? Nkb, that is Avogadro number into Boltzmann constant, and that is equal to capital R, that is known as universal gas constant. So in this way, we came to the result that according to classical theory, specific heat of the solid is Cv equal to 3R. Very interesting result we obtained, and according to this result, the specific heat of solid is independent of frequency, independent of amplitude of vibration, and it is independent of the temperature of the solid, and it is a constant value, that is 3 into R. And if we substitute here value of R and calculate, it is equal to 5.96 calories per mole Kelvin. So this is called as, this result is called as Dulong-Petit law, and according to Dulong-Petit law, the specific heat of solid is constant and independent of temperature and frequency, and it is always equal to 3R. Whatever may be the temperature, whatever may be the solid, the specific heat of the solid is always constant. Okay, very interesting. So according to Dulong-Petit's law, the specific heat of all solids is constant and it is independent of temperature, and it is simply equal to 3R, where R is universal gas constant. Important thing is that the result is agreement with the experimental results. including number of solids and metals at high temperatures and room temperature too. The result is in agreement with the experimental facts with different elements including metals at high temperatures and room temperatures. But important is that the result fails to account the specific heat capacity of the solids at low temperatures. Now let us look at the experimental results shown for silver, germanium and silicon in this graph. We'll find that as shown in the figure, Cv decreases continually with the temperature and approaches to 0 when T tends to 0. What does it mean? It means at low temperatures, Dulong-Petit law fails. That means there is certain discrepancy appears in the Dulong-Petit's law while solving Cv equal to 3R according to classical theory. This discrepancy is solved by Einstein and Debye by using quantum theory, and that we will see in the next article. Thank you. Thank you very much.